just realized, like, yes, it will be super exciting, but it's not going to feel good at first because welcome back to Wine and Chill. I'm Stephanie, your friendly recovering lawyer, and this is a very late January. Yes, we are now in February student loan update. Every month, I go over how much I paid towards my six-figure student loans. So everything is usually retroactive. So for January's, we're talking about December's numbers. So Happy New Year. We late. It's fine, but guess what I'm doing? So hopefully this lighting looks good, but I'm finally using my camera. So shout out to Patreon, because Patreon paid for this camera. So thank you, all of you. That's what I did with all of your contributions. I finally bought a camera, so hopefully I'm using this properly. It looks like it's working. I have no idea. But we're going to learn. We're going to go on a learning lesson, which I think will go well with today's video. We're going to talk about how much I paid, but also how this career transition is going. And some things you should think about if you're thinking about joining the Great Resignation and transitioning your career. So now that dry January is done, happy Black History Month. We are drinking, I meant to say this before, black-owned wine, Maison Noir, OPP, Other People's Pinot. Yes, I'm trying to get down with the red. We'll see. Ooh, I actually like this. I like all of Maison Noir. So far, all the things I've had from them are really good. So let's start out with how much money I owed and how much money I owe today. So I started my student loan journey almost 2 years ago at $304,680.17 trifling cents. Yes. And for the month of December, because this should have aired in January, so retroactively in December, I paid a lot of money. I paid $7,500. Yes, we're going to get to that because my usual is between $4 and $5 grand, and that's a good chunk of change. So we'll get into where that money came from. So the remainder, as of January, I owed $198,660.56 trifling cents. However, your girl is finally out of the twos and into the ones. Round of small applause for me. It feels good because owing $300,000 was crazy. Owing $200,000 felt crazy. Owing $190-something thousand, I still feel played, bamboozled, and led astray. However, I do feel better. I see we're inching towards the finish line, slowly getting there. So before we get into career transition, everything about that, a quick shout out to our sponsor, biglawinvestor.com. Shout out to them. When I first started my law school journey, I believe like 2L, I started reading their blog, which mostly focuses on how to pay down your student loans as well as investing. You don't have to work in big law. I have never. You don't have to be an attorney. I am a recovering lawyer now these days to follow their blog. I highly recommend. There's a lot of really good tips on just how to pay down to your student loans. If you have private student loans, how to refinance that. I know a few of you have reached out to me on Instagram. If you want to check out Instagram at Wine and Chill, have slid into my DMs asking about refinancing. We're going to do a specific video in tandem with Big Law Investor because they have some great resources when the federal forbearance ends, which Joe decided to extend the forbearance till May 1st. So if you have federal loans, you currently have 0% interest, which is lovely, which has really been helping me. So highly recommend while you are making your plan to go check out biglawinvestor.com for investing tips, which let me know in the comments if you want us to do some investing content. We can definitely do that. I am a big believer of getting your 401k match while you're paying down your debt. And this year, one of my goals is to open up a separate investment account outside of my 401k. Because the 401k has a cute coin in there these days, which makes me very happy for myself, finally. So let me know in the comments if you want us to go over that. I've done a lot of research. Y'all know I'm heavy into doing the research before I say something. So we can talk about that because I think more people, particularly is Black History Month, Black people, Black women, you know, we are not taught these things. So I think us talking about them would be great. So shout out to the Big Law Investor for sponsoring this video. All right, so In terms of my payments, because y'all see the payments on the screen, yes, one of those says January. I'm supposed to make a payment on December 31st. I proceeded to celebrate the new year and forgot to do that, so I'm counting that payment because that payment should have gotten made on December 31st. My big, huge payment partially is due to y'all, so thank you. I had my largest YouTube paycheck, which is great. All of my YouTube money goes towards my student loans, and then Patreon money goes towards buying this camera, buying equipment, getting my eyebrows microbladed. Yes, I did that. Goes towards the maintenance of the channel, and then hopefully one day maybe we could do full-time content creation. So if you want to support me on Patreon, you can head over to there. It's Patreon.com/winenchillstephanie. So about that career change, I wanted to talk to y'all about that. It has now, because this video is late, been a full month that I have been in my new role as a DEI program manager, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which y'all know, I had been doing that free labor for a long time. A few people ask me, how did you get that role? How do you go about thinking about a career change in general, regardless of what field you want to go into? And maybe some things, some pitfalls, some lessons I've learned in the past month. So I wanted to share those with all of you, as I know people are still quitting their job, or unfortunately, there are companies still laying off mass amounts of people. I see you, Peloton, giving out subscriptions to the 2,800 people you laid off. It was an odd gesture. If you are seeing a career change in your future, this one is for you. So a few things. The first one being that I, to be honest, didn't realize. So if you're new here, I was a practicing lawyer. Woo! It sounds so nice to say that. For about 5-6 years in tech, specifically a smidge stint in entertainment. All of that time, I have actually led all the DEI initiatives at my jobs. So I've built out 2 full DEI programs, and I've led 3 employee resource groups. So employee resource groups are supposed to be safe spaces. They're for marginalized groups, so you can, meet people, you can escalate situations if you need to talk about something, etc. So I've led a bunch of them, and I've always really cared about that work. My big, I would say, hindrance was when you do free labor, people do not take your free labor seriously. So the companies I worked at would kind of make some changes. I would make some small wins, like, yes, okay, look, we're getting somewhere. Y'all are stop touching people's hair. Lovely, finally. But not all the way. So I wanted to do DEI work professionally full-time to see what happens if a company A hires my very vocal, very no nonsense, very direct, very we are not about the checkbox life self, and actually pays and invests in a program. So that was one of the reasons why I left the law. Also, being a corporate lawyer was doing nothing and helping nobody. Let's be honest. So I left. Now, in leaving, I was so excited because y'all know I was tired of being a lawyer. I was very much admittance of, I don't even know if I should have ever done this. I have gone down this life path because that was the preferred thing that my family wanted me to do. And at 30 years old, I wanted to choose me, and I chose me. However, because I was so okay, I'm done with this, I'm leaving, everything's going to be great. And my boss at the time was so kind to me about it. I was so excited to start this new job and am still excited for this job. However, a month has taught me some things, which the first one that I want to talk about is your schedule will change. And of course, I don't mean just in terms of the hours you work. I work significantly less now. On its face value, that sounds great. The type of work is so different, and that loss of routine has been driving me a little crazy. I'm not going to lie. The small things will start to bother you when you career transition. I had gotten so used to my routine. I wake up, go to the gym, go to work. That part hasn't changed. At work, I carve out morning time, let's do the meetings, let's do the negotiations. Afternoon time, let's do the contract drafting. I'm going to redline these. I know who my internal clients are. I know who's going to ping me exactly at 8:55 a.m. and be like, hey, Stephanie, blah, blah, this, that, about what we talked about at 7 p.m. the last night. You get used to it. You get used to these routines of things. Now all that's different. There is no redlining because I'm not looking at contracts. That, to be honest, the first week blew my mind. All week, I was prepared for some salesperson to come bother me, and that didn't happen. And then I kind of was like, wow, what do I do with myself? This is so strange. And then it became something that I never thought I would say I miss. As a lawyer, we're very much attached to Word, Microsoft Word, in redlining. Redlining is when you mark up a document and then you can literally see, it's not always in red. Sometimes it's in red, it's in blue, it's in different colors. But I think originally Microsoft Word only allowed it to be in red, which is why it's called redlining. You would redline the document and it shows you the changes. So that's on track changes. And that's how you see like what the other lawyer changed, what the business team inputted, etc. Now that I'm a business person, I guess, they don't use Microsoft Word. The girls are using Google Docs. As a lawyer, I hate Google Docs because instead of red lines where you just see the track changes, you can just go in and edit someone's document. And before you say, Stephanie, there's a function where you can do that. Yes, I know that there's a function where you can see the track changes. However, I'm distrustful of people marking up my document. So now, because that distrust has been there all these years of being a lawyer, it gives me a lot of anxiety. So I've spent the past month being like, mother, are in my document, what is happening? So yeah, it's the small things. It's the small things in your loss of schedule, your like 2:00 p.m., let me go talk to my friend and let's complain moment because you're used to them, your whatever. It changes when you change careers, not when you just change companies. So getting used to that has been very interesting. Also, apparently this thing is blinking, so it might cut off on me. And now I'm like, should have charged the camera. I'm learning things. Now, if you want to transition your career, look out for, okay, just realize like, yes, it will be super exciting, but it's not going to feel good at first because everything is new. Newness and change sometimes is a little bit jarring. But secondly, before you even get there, how do you show that you're capable of doing something else? Which brings back to my point of free labor. Now, I do not recommend free labor unless you decide, hey, I'm going to do this work because I care about it, but also I'm going to include it in my resume. I'm going to include it in my cover letter. Who's requiring cover letters? It's so weird. I'm going to include it in my LinkedIn. I'm going to include it here like, hey, I'm Stephanie. Yeah, I'm a lawyer, but also I built out DEI programs. I've done this. The camera died. Because I didn't charge it. And that's happened to things you don't charge. I was going to say, so no, I don't believe in free labor unless you know how to utilize that additional work to get what you want, which is, for a long time, I've been wanting to leave my legal career. And I had to figure out, I need a job that I feel in my spirit is actually helpful. I say this all the time. If I'm not being helpful, like I don't really like see the use of it. Being a corporate lawyer was not helpful. It was not helping anybody. Seeing how Black and brown people are treated at work in corporate, particularly in tech, bothers me. Helping that situation, making sure holistically, like we are treated better, that we systemically change how corporate functions, at least how this company that I'm working at functions, and make it a better place for everybody is something that I could rally behind. And in doing so, when I was leading those ERGs and building out those DEI programs, I did it because I cared. And then as I continued to do, I realized like, oh, I did all this free work. I've learned a lot of things. I'm going to put it on my resume. I asked one of my friends who worked in HR, hey, can you update my resume for me, etc. So if you're going to do stretch projects, stretch work, corporate loves to call free work anything but work. It's a stretch project. It's this. It's free labor, but if that free labor can get you into coding or get you into teaching or get you where you want to go in a career that you'd like, okay, fine. That's the only time I would say maybe. And even then, to be honest, they should give you a bonus or additional money to do that free labor because work should not be free. Anywho, so outside of that, the passion project that you're interested in at your current company is the easiest way to do it because since it's free, people will just let you do it because people are trying to offload free work onto somebody. B, you could do it, which is after I felt comfortable and I realized like, okay, I have a foundational understanding on how this should work. One of my companies did pay for a certification. I also have a sociology degree, which is why all this mattered to me in the first place, to be honest. Then I was like, okay, let's go do DEI consulting and actually get my coin for doing all of what I had been doing for free. So you can do like side hustle or like consulting work in your expertise if you want to test something out. Honestly, you might test something out and be like, I hate this. For example, many moons ago, before the panorama, I did a bodybuilding competition and a powerlifting competition. So I'm still working my way back to powerlifting. So I finally have been on a consistent schedule. I love the gym. No, there are some workout inspo on this channel, but I didn't feel like doing that, to be honest, like with the channel. So that is an example of, okay, let me try doing this thing that I really like. Do I want to do this and make money off of it? No, I hated it. I didn't like it. I tried like filming my workouts and I was like, this is just annoying. I just want to lift my weights and move about my business. I don't have time for this. I didn't like it. So trying it out to see if you like it, I would say is definitely worthwhile. Do you want to do it for free? And then also, more importantly, do you want to take like something you care about and make money from it? Sometimes that ruins things for people, like people that love to write, but they don't want to write professionally because they don't want someone in what they have built, like an intimate like relationship with something. They don't want to do that. So testing that out is a good way as well. And then something that I didn't realize in terms of transitioning your career, which is ironic because people assume I have very good time management. And I have good time management in terms of being an attorney. I know this is the time, like this is what I have to do. I know I have to work late, so I need to prioritize waking up super early so I can get all this stuff done. I used to film some of these videos super early in the morning, which is the ones where you're like, oh, Stephanie's not drinking because it's 6 a.m. It's 6 a.m. Right now it's night outside. Yes, I'm gonna have a sip. And that was a good segue. So now that I've transitioned the career, I realize, and back to the first point about scheduling, since my schedule is off, my time management is off. I realize now that I have more free time, I'm kind of confused as what to do with it, even though I told myself what I would do with it was figuring out how to use this camera, which kudos to me, we're using the camera. The audio in the beginning is probably a mess because I just realized that I didn't have the mic set up in the beginning first. Yeah, y'all bear with me. It's okay. We've come a long way. Remember on the channel when I used to stack my laptop on top of the pillows? We've come a long way, so kudos to us. Time management has become weird because I feel like out of place with the schedule. Because the schedule is new. The schedule it doesn't matter if you write something down in terms of schedule. It matters if you do it. If you set new habits and a new schedule. I haven't figured that out in the past month, to be very honest. Which is why we've been a little sporadic with the videos. Which is why the video's late. Because now that I have the free time, I'm like, okay, but I have to do all these other things. Also, the nature of my work is different. As a corporate lawyer, my work didn't affect anybody's day. It didn't help anybody. Contrary to what the sales team wanted to think, it was not helpful. It was not impacting anybody's life. Versus now, the work I do is much more emotional in terms of people saying like, hey, I feel excluded, or hey, I notice XYZ, or hey, this. I have like a bigger like attachment, to be honest, to my job now that I haven't had in many years. Before it was like, I have to do this legal work because I have to be a lawyer, and okay, I want to do a good job because I'm a type A person. I don't want anybody to ever think that I'm incompetent, so let's do it. But there was no like emotional attachment, versus now there very much is an emotional attachment of like, oh, if I mess this up, like I've messed up something bad. It's twofold. It's on one hand, I don't want any like racialized employees. You're like, Stephanie's just here to be a checkbox, like so we have DEI like everyone else. Like that to me will be an ultimate failure on my end, and I have not done my job. And two, I also want to make sure I'm positively helping move the initiatives. Like, hey, are we all being included? Are we gonna fix the high attrition rate of Black women and Latinas in tech? We get treated the worst. Are we going to tackle these things? It is interesting to be at a place where people are very well-meaning because the intention is irrelevant. It's about the impact. So that has, to be honest, that emotional aspect of my new role has really effed up my time management. Because now after work, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm tired. Versus before I was like, oh, okay, great. We're done with this thing I didn't like and I can do what I like. So that's just weird. That's just something for you to think about when you're transitioning your career. If you transition your career to something you intrinsically care about, it will affect your day much differently. Which I think, give me a couple weeks, we will be back on our regularly scheduled program. I'm figuring out the camera, so hey, we've made progress. Which leads me to my last point. When you do make the transition, I highly recommend you set aside some time every week or every couple days to find the new you. It has been so interesting to introduce myself in meetings and say like, hey, I'm Stephanie, I'm a recovering lawyer. First of all, it sounds like I belong, in some rehabilitation group. Second of all, that's how I feel about it. I feel like I have lawyer PTSD, but it is a complete dismissal, departure, to be honest, of who I have been as a person for not just the past 6-ish years, the past I've been on a legal path since I was 14. So y'all know math is not my ministry. How many years is that? So I've been on a legal path for 16 years. To unlearn that part of your identity, which your job should not be your identity. Yes, that sounds good and all to say. And yes, I have said it. It takes a long time to unlearn that. And for me to verbalize it, okay, we're self-actualizing. Yes, it's not my identity. But to feel it every day, that has been very different. I've been trying to give myself some grace. Give myself some grace. Like, who am I now that I'm me? I'm me who I get to be, but who the hell is that? So I'm working on that. So on that note, give yourself some grace. If you need any specific, you guys want to continue talking about career and career transitions, let me know in the comments. I appreciate all of you. We are going to do our February student loan video next week for Valentine's Day because it's also my 2-year anniversary of beginning to pay off my student loans. One thing to point out, new ventures, new careers, new changes also bring new learnings so you can grow, but new anxiety. And giving yourself some grace will save you a lot of time. I wish a month ago I had realized girl, it's not going to be so easy. It's okay. It's just okay. Because I spent a couple weeks being a little why do I feel like this? I've arrived to my dream destination and I feel a little out of place. And everything is new and that's okay. On that note, cheers to you. Thank you for tuning in. Go check out biglawinvestor.com and I will catch y'all in the next video.